Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. I hope you're well on this Monday. I'm still trying to recover from, obviously, Europa League defeat and that game against Arsenal on Sunday. Now, I want your views. I want your comments. If you're watching this live, we can react to your comments. If you're watching this later on playback, then fair be, you'll see what everybody else is thinking. Welcome to this Monday night FANZONE show. We've got injury lists to talk about. We've got Burnley to talk about. We've got Brighton on Saturday. We've got that Arsenal defeat. We want your views, your comments. Get them in now. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show. As ever, we can get, if you're watching live, we can get your comments on screen. LCFC Foxton saying Barnes is out for 6 weeks. He is out for 6 weeks. Gosh, who isn't? Listen, there's that many on the list. I've had to print it out. My memory is not that good enough. We've got Maddison out. We've got Dennis Praet out. We've got Perez out. We've got Barnes out. We've got James Justin out. We've got Wes Morgan out. We've got Johnny Evans probably out now. He's going for a scan. Fofana's out. What a list. Where do we go with it? I mean, yesterday, as you probably knew if you're watching Leicester Fan TV after the Arsenal game, to say I was fuming was a little bit of an understatement, as was Jamie from the Fox's Arms. Locks and Jack feeling a little bit more, realistic maybe. And Elijah was great to get on from the States as well. Graham says, it's a shame, so sad we don't deserve all these things going on. Steve Shepherd says, give the young ones a go. We've seen a couple, haven't we, come on, Steve, and do okay. So it'd be interesting to know what you think. I'm a bit disappointed. Brendan sort of said there's not loads in the under-23s you think who can make it through. So that would be an interesting one to see where he's going to go. As ever, we want your views, we want your comments. We want to know what you think to yesterday's game against Arsenal. Have you got over that yet? I'm still not got over the Europa League exit, let alone yesterday. So we want to know your views and your comments on that. I want to know what you think to the injury list. What can we do about it? Did we mess up in the transfer window? I think you guys know that I said it at the time. So I'm not here saying, look, we've got injury lists, we've messed up. I said it. In January, we need to sign somebody. So I really want to know what you think to that. Lee says he's out and he's proud. Lol, he's enjoying that. Well, that's absolutely fine. Andy said it's just called passion. Yeah, it's very difficult because, Andy, at the moment, you get Leicester fans say, well, and I do understand what Leicester fans are saying when they say, we should be grateful. We should be pleased where we are. Look, we're top four. We're still, 6 points out of these and 9 points out of those. So, I do get that. I am grateful. I am. Thank you. Thank you for it. I am grateful. I've watched a lot of years, as I've said, where to be dreaming of this position. So Andy is right, but I'm still, I guess we've tasted the Premier League title. I want more of it. That's all. Hassan says the players look tired. They did. They looked out. They looked like a boxer on the ring at one point yesterday. About 65th minute, I think Ricardo Pereira did a pass and it went past two Leicester players and they all sort of stopped. And it was like, wow, we look like the boxer who was on the ring. When you see somebody and they've gone. You just watch boxing and you say they've gone. So I think it's rare to see that, but we did see it yesterday. 7 points out of 9 in a minimum requirement, says Mark. Carmen, I'm good. How are you? Ross, I am still recovering. And many fans, Ross, are blaming your, whatever you called that yesterday, that salad. That was to blame. Honestly, we couldn't recover. Perhaps the players saw that, Ross. Anyway, Ross says the next 3 games will be the most crucial 3 games of Leicester's entire season. We know if we're really top 4 contenders or we are Spurs 2.0. Well, listen, Ross, we've got Burnley on Wednesday. It's away, but we should still go there and win, shouldn't we? We've got Brighton away on Saturday. we should go there and win, shouldn't we? Hassan says if we don't beat Burnley, we're in trouble. Steve, as far as I know, we can't be recalling. Dewsbury Hall is the one that a lot of fans are saying, well, we should have recorded. We missed a chance. I believe we can't get it. Ross says Saladgate. Yeah, I think so. Not calling Dewsbury Hall back again. Another mistake. I talked about it yesterday. Islam Slimani. Okay, if you're going to let him go, you're going to let him go. But don't you need to replace him? Demarai Gray. Now, listen, Demarai Gray, I think split fans, maybe 60, 40 would like to have kept him. Would you have liked to have kept Demarai Gray? I'd have rather had Demarai Gray on the bench yesterday. I'd be interested to know what was the scenario with Demarai Gray where he has fell out of favour quite drastically, because earlier in the season he was being played up there. So it would be interesting. One of the Facebook user groups says Burnley away is difficult set pieces. They'll murder us with that, the way we defend against them. It's going to be interesting. Anthony says, morning. Where are you, Anthony? If it's morning, let us know. Remind me where you are. I want your comments in. I've got Jack is going to be joining us from Leicester Fan TV very, very shortly. So keep getting your comments in. I want to try and get as many as you can in there. Of course, want your Burnley score predictions. And as ever, get whatever questions you want to ask me, Jack, in now. Now's your chance, and we'll talk it through to you. Let's add him in. Jack, hopefully ready to come in. How are you, Jack?
Good. Yeah, you?
Yeah, good, Jack. I've sort of recovered from yesterday. I was pretty upset at the time, but I guess I'm lucky at this injury list. That, like I say, you sent me. Thanks for that, Jack. Jack sent me this, and I've had to point it out. Maddison could be back into training next week, couldn't he, I believe?
Yeah, end of the week, yeah. End of this week.
End of this week for training. But he's not going to play, obviously, in either the Burnley or Brighton games.
No, it'd be next weekend against the Sheffield United. So,
yeah. So there's some light for Maddison. Dennis Praet. Any ideas on when Dennis Praet might be back?
He's not even mentioned anything about Perez either or Fofana, so I'm not sure what's going on. He said a couple of weeks. When he says a couple of weeks, it goes further than that. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I mean, Maddison has got a bit of a return date. Praet, Perez, Barnes looks like that's going to be they're saying 6 weeks. I think that's going to be at least 6 weeks, isn't it?
Mid-April, end of April, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for him. And obviously, Morgan Evans is going for a scan, we believe.
Yeah, he's going for a scan today. So we'll see how long he's out for after that.
I think Evans has been carrying that injury a couple of weeks here and there. It's not the first time he's looked like he's got something.
He's a fighter and you don't want to let the team down. So I guess you get them players.
Paul says here, Vardy was briefly holding his groin in the first half. Normally, we press from the front. That didn't happen. At half-time, when I was doing the half-time show yesterday in the watch-along, Jack, I said I thought Jamie Vardy is injured. I don't think he looked quite right yesterday. In fact, I don't think he's looked quite right the last 4 or 5 games. What do you take on Vardy, Jack?
I guess it's the hernia that he had on his operation. It takes its time to recover. Have we brought him back too soon? I'm not sure. But Vardy hasn't looked right even before he had the hernia operation. So I guess his form, 1 goal in 12 games. So it's been worrying form for Vardy. Vardy, normally scores week in, week out, but there's obviously something there. What's irritating him?
Joanna says, gutted about Europa. Me too, Joanna. These injuries are hounding us. They do look tired, but in terms of the league, anything above 14th place, I'm happy with every season. Remember Leicester of old and know what we're doing. Joanna, are you already accepting that we are going to slide down the table with that, Joanna? What do you think, Jack?
I'm not worried. I really am not worried. I'm not thinking about what happened last season. That's in the past. I'm focused on this season. I think we can get the job done. We'll obviously get Maddison back next weekend, maybe Perez as well, Fofana, Praet. When we get them players back, it will be all right. But we've just got to win the games like the Sheffield United game, Brighton game and Burnley game and see where we go from there after them games if we can get the 9 points.
I mean, Jack, that's the next 3 games, isn't it? Burnley, Brighton, Sheffield United. Well, is it not Burnley, Brighton?
Sheffield United.
It's Sheffield United and then it's Man United in the FA Cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
These three games, they're critical, of course, Jack, but they're against teams really in the league, you'd be fancying to pick up at least 6-7 points out of 9, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we've said that this season, and we've gone and lost them games. Look at the Aston Villa game and the Fulham game, and we've played them sort of teams, and we haven't seemed to have picked up the points. But I guess that's at home, isn't it? Our home form's been very poor this season. Away from home, we're going to beat teams like that. But Brighton and Burnley are 15th and 16th in the table, aren't they? And they're not many points off relegation, with Fulham not far behind them. So they're going to be looking over their shoulder, and we need to focus on our job in hand and get the points there. And our away form this season is tremendous. So I'm confident we can get the points. It's just they're not going to make it easy for us because they need to win the games as well.
I mean, Mark says here, Jack, he says in the summer we need a quality forward. I've been saying that the last 2 summers, to be fair. It's a topic for the summer because we can't do anything about it now, but it is going to have to be addressed, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just striking positions, Phil, that you look at. It's winging positions. I think we've only got, who is it, Under and Albrighton is wingers now, with Barnes injured. So we need to fill them positions as well as striking positions. Is Kell going to take over the Jamie Vardy job? I don't think he's good enough for that. Ivan Toney from Brentford, yes, over Edward. So I guess that's looking into the summer. But right now, we just need to focus on the getting top 4 and achieving that.
EKG watching on YouTube says, of all the teams to line up against at our weakest, which is what we are at now, this is our weakest, Jack. He says these are the best teams to face. Obviously, it's not ideal, but really the best given the circumstances. I suppose he's right, isn't he? If you're going to play, if we're at our weakest, play the teams who are not as good. It's better than playing the teams at the top.
Yeah, I won't want to play Man City with this situation that we're in at the minute. It'd be a difficult game. If you looked at if we played Man City, Man United, and then played, say, Chelsea, who's on form at the minute, it'd be difficult to beat them sorts of teams with the injuries and that we've got. But we're not going to use injuries as an excuse this season. We've still got players in the squad who's good enough to win games. And at the minute, you've obviously got to bring the youngsters in, haven't you, from the under-23s like Daly Campbell, Tavares. I think they'll be good enough to fulfill the squad. Maybe not off the bench, but can maybe come off the bench and make an influence to the squad with the experience that they've got around them.
Joanna's replied. She says she's happy we're not down at the bottom half. Perspective is we're okay. The injuries are our hindrance. We are top 4. It's going to get harder with the last 5 games. Yeah, the last 3 games in particular are super tough in this run-in, aren't they, Jack? It's Spurs, Man United, Chelsea, something like that.
Yeah, we'll have Barnes back then. We'll have Fofana back. We'll have all the key players back. Just James Justin be missing. So I wouldn't get too worried, Phil. We've beat them teams this season. So
yeah,
we just got to look forward to them games.
And I want other people to answer this as well. Gary says Under is nowhere near good enough. Jack, what's your take on it? And people who are watching, let us know what you think on Under, because he's had chances now. I was saying a few weeks ago, he's not really had a chance to show us. I think he's had chances now, and I personally don't think he's not seeing it himself.
His defensive game's poor. When we was like linked with a winger like Under, I was excited. I thought we're going to sign a winger. He's going to be that good. You know what I mean? We've been needing a winger for ages, and that's what we needed in the summer, a winger, and we definitely got out and got one. But you can see why Roma got rid of him, and the likes of El Shaarawy and that, who was ahead of him at Roma. You could see why Roma didn't want to play him and they sold him out on loan to Leicester, because they don't think he's good enough either. So whether he stays even next summer or not, I'm not sure. I don't think he's Premier League level, to be honest.
Well, I've just put that on screen, Jack. Let's see. I'm just going to see. I want to get as many comments as I can. Do you think Under is good enough? Would you sign him yet? Obviously, he's got till the end of the season, but what do you guys think about Under? Myself and Jack, not quite convinced. Gary started that conversation off. I want to know what you think about Under. Before we go as well, we want to get your Burnley against Leicester score predictions. It's Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Don't forget, we'll be doing a watch-along live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the usual places. So get us your comments in there. Let's read a few out before I go back to Jack. Christian says, I think he just needs to pick up form. I like Andy M watching on YouTube is saying Demarai Gray sort of equals Under. Or are you saying there you prefer Demarai Gray over Under? I think if it was Demarai Gray over Under, that would be another great topic. I'll ask you that in a minute. Who would you rather have had on the bench to come on? Max says Under has had quality on the ball, but too selfish. I quite like his selfishness, though. But if you're a selfish player, you've got to make it happen as well, haven't you, Max? That's what's got to happen. Elite Prod says, Under not really been given the chance, should be given an opportunity next few games. I think he has had chances. That Europa League game last week was a big chance. He's played against Arsenal. Nicky says he means greater than. Yeah, well, I wasn't quite sure if he means, but he's saying that he would prefer Demarai Gray over Under. Would you guys? Burnley 1, Leicester 0. Says Hassan Tarkowski to score from a corner in the 90th minute. Oh, come on. Come on, Hassan. Let's have a little bit more positivity. Look, Andrew's being positive there. He's going for a 0-0. That's slightly more positive. Another fight. You're all starting to predict a Burnley win. Jack, let's get Jack back in there. I still think we'll go to Burnley and we can win. But, I mean, Jack, when you look at the team that Leicester are going to have to pick out, there is going to be young lads on the bench for sure. I mean, we're going to struggle to almost get a bench, aren't we, to this game? Yeah,
we're going to have to bring the youngsters in, aren't we, to make up the bench. I'd give Daly Campbell a game. He impressed me against Brighton, for sure. It was my man of the match. I'd give him a game in the Premier League. Luke Thomas has had the experience, so why can't he? I've heard bigger teams are after him as well. So, did Luke Thomas get a little bit undone yesterday, Jack? Do you know what? That showed experience, and Luke Thomas is just still learning as a player, and he committed fouls that he didn't need to, and there were needless fouls, and one cost a goal. But you can't just blame him for the game yesterday. You have to blame the whole team and look at their performances as well as his. Yeah. What do you reckon about the Burnley game then, Jack? Score predictions-wise? It's going to be a tough game. Yeah. I've sent a video to Burnley fan channel this morning. So I think it'll be a tough game. I went for a 3-1 win to us. I'm quite. I know people just blind faith, is it, Jack? Just like, oh, what the heck? There's confidence. You have to have confidence in the team. I guess, looking at us this season from the start, our squad depth wasn't there. We're no Manchester City. We can't just replace players just like that. Under's no Mahrez. So is Under given a chance a lot? I'm not sure. But he needs to prove it when he is given the chance, and I don't think he's doing it. I think the best games he had were against Leeds and against Arsenal when he made them crosses for Vardy. Let's a question here from the guys at Final Whistle. They say, where do you think we'll finish this season with, well, not just Harvey Barnes out, but with, I think we've got 8 or 9, what would be classed as first-team players out. Where at this stage, Jack, where do you think? Where's your heart say and your head say? Top 4. I'm not lying. Peter, I don't get it yet. We lose one game. We're top 4 for God's sake, man. We're not at the bottom of the table. We're not in a relegation fight like Burnley, Brighton, Newcastle, Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield United. Do you get what I mean? I can understand if it were their fans, but our fans turning it and saying, "Oh, we're not making top 4 this season just because they're looking in the past." We just gotta get behind the boys and be there when they need us the most and support them from home as much as we can. And I definitely think we'll make top 4 this season with so many points ahead of Liverpool and Chelsea. I know people may sit there and say, oh, it's only 6 points, it's only 5 points, but it's a start. We've just got to go and pick up the points against the teams like Burnley, Brighton, Sheffield United, Newcastle, Southampton. Easy. It's not going to be easy, Jack. It's easy, mate. No, so it's the Premier League this season is unpredictable. Anyone's beaten anybody. Yeah. You wouldn't have expected Liverpool to lose to Brighton or Burnley, and they did. So who lost to Burnley? Liverpool. I mean, Hassan says here, Burnley have got some big players again. Yeah. Corners, zonal marking yesterday, Jack. I just repeating. Sometimes it does frustrate fans that we do seem to repeat the same mistakes. And defending from corners, I think we can all see we're not great at it. I just don't understand the thing of why have we not gone and marked David Luiz before he's got it on his head instead of running for him after he's got it on his head and he's scored. And Didi and Tielemans just ran for him after he got it on his head. You should have gone and marked him before. This zonal marking gets you nowhere, Phil, when you're putting small players on big players. And you're just like, how the hell are you even supposed to defend if you're going to do that? I guess with Burnley, you've got massive players, Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Ashley Barnes, Chris Wood. They're going to be a massive threat from set pieces, and we just need to keep them out. Last question I'm going to go to here, which I think is
Steve sort of saying, and I understand what he's saying. He was saying, I think fans were a bit off yesterday because of the level of the performance. It did look a bit, okay, we got injuries, but those that were left on the pitch, it did look a bit, the last 15, 20 minutes, there wasn't much fight in them, was there, Jack?
They gave up.
It did look it.
You could see it in the game yesterday. If you looked at it when Schmeichel kept bowling it out, I don't see why we keep playing from the back, man. It's irritating. Just bump it forward, like Jamie says. And if you're going to win the ball, you're going to win the ball. And when we kept passing out from the back, we're putting ourselves under pressure. And when Schmeichel kept trying to create an attack, we kept jogging with the ball rather than full throwing. I don't know whether it's fatigue or tiredness, but Tielemans, he's played every game this season, and we haven't gave him a rest, and he looks very fatigued. He looks tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, thanks for joining us today. It's been great to get you on. I'm going to let you go, and I'm just going to read out the last few comments before we wrap up here. We'll see you on Wednesday for the watch-along.
Yep.
Cheers,
see
Jack.
You on Wednesday, Phil.
Brilliant. Thanks to have Jack on there. Loved his enthusiasm. He just thinks it's going to be a win at Burnley just because. And why not? Burnley yesterday against Spurs were poor. I think, what did they lose at the end? Was it 4-0? I lost count. I can't remember. But it's exactly the sort of game we need in a way, isn't it? It's an away game. We're doing better away. Burnley, they ain't all that this season. Look, you just got to go for it and play for it. And I think things will come good on Wednesday. And that's what the fans need. And it's probably what the players need with all these injuries. So keep the faith, as they always say. But let's see a little bit of fight from the lads on the pitch. I think that's what most people want this Wednesday. 6 p.m. Don't forget, join us at about 5:30 on Wednesday, where we'll be going live. We'll be live before the match, during the match, after the match, as ever. We'll get your comments in. So join me, join Tom, join Locks, join Jamie, join Jack, join us all. God knows what Ross is going to be eating. It's always a highlight. Make sure you join us pre-match from 5:30 on Wednesday. From me, Phil, thanks for all these guys for helping us bring you Leicester Fan TV. Don't forget, follow us, like us, share us. Cheers, pals.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. With special thanks to our pals at ADT Taxis, Feed Me, Piglet's Pantry, Tiger, Leicester Garage Conversions, Pink Vehicle Leasing, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Moyer Wade Interiors, and our chosen charity, Memphis UK. We bring you the fans' views on the match each week, and your views matter to us. Join the fans' debate each match with us. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV.